How's it going, everybody? It's been a little while since I've done a bit of Yu-Gi-Oh content for YouTube, but I've been playing a ton of Master Duel, in part because relatively recently they finally got all the new Madolche cards in, so I've been browsing through and trying to figure out the best way to make these cards work. And they're incredible. So I wanted to kind of give a overview of Madolche in 2025. I think my last time I did anything like this was like 2022. Maybe even earlier than that, honestly, like 2021. Because we're still using Dueling Book for it. But let's go through kind of the Madolche cards, card by card, how they've changed, what's new, and what's good. So let's start with our starters. Magdalene is an absurd card. She's actually gotten better. There was a brief period around 2023 and 2024 where actually was starting to slim her down to one copy, and even considering cutting her altogether because I wanted to use the normal summon on other things. But in the new combo lines, it actually doesn't matter whether you start with her or the other important starter, which is Petting Sister. Again, one of the best things about the new support is it really cuts down how important petting is. It used to be a really big choke point for the deck that you could just kind of imperm the petting for free, and it would just work. It would stop the deck from doing anything. Thanks to a combination of the Vernusylphs, petting is no longer really a choke point for the deck, which is really great. You should pretty much always play her at 3 now because of that. Similarly, Angeli is effectively another copy of Petting. So she's also your best starter that you can search with some of the best indirect support cards that the deck has gotten over time. I'm going to go with just the core cards that you should always have in the deck, by the way. Hoot Cake is also good. He's a little bit awkward as a starter sometimes because you need a monster in the graveyard. It's not difficult to do. In particular, there's like the worst feeling on earth, but you can sometimes like Maxi or Fualos and then normal summon Hoot Cake and then go for full combo. You obviously lose the Maxi or Fualos, but it's better than, passing on an empty board, right? Gelato should be played at 2. I actually dabbled with him at 3 with the new support for a little while just because of how much better he is. I will say I love the way the new support works with Gelato. He isn't a hard brick anymore if you draw him. Like, it's actually, like, totally fine to draw this card now, which is really, really nice. It used to be your combo lines would completely change. The deck would get a lot weaker if you drew Gelato, but with the current builds, it's actually not much of an issue. I'll talk about Pudding later because I think she is a card that is kind of optional. Chateau. Madolche Field Spell is still incredible to this day. You should run a copy of it. Ticket. All the new combo lines actually do weave through Ticket and Salon. So Ticket and Salon do kind of similar-ish things. Ticket, if a Madolche is shuffled into the deck, you get to special one from the deck. Or add it to your hand if you don't control a fairy, but you should control a fairy. Salon is a double summon, which is huge for Madolche. There's no once per turn Madolche because it's a on normal summon effect. And then when you do the shuffle back effect that you do with Salon, you get to set a Madolche spell trap, which can be Salon, it can be Chateau. Chateau in activation shuffles all your Madolches from your graveyard to the deck. This can be a little bit annoying, but also it's still pretty, like, it can be an extender, but it can be kind of tricky. It's a weird combo piece you have to play around sometimes. And if a monster in your graveyard would be shuffled back into the deck by Madolche, you can add to your hand instead. This is huge with, in particular, a bunch of hand traps that we'll get into. Promenade is the best trap in the deck. This is effectively a Hot Red Dragon Archfiend. You get to choose any face-up card on the field and a Madolche on your field in the graveyard. You're probably going to choose the graveyard, so you get to kind of recycle back like a Magdalene or an Angeli or like a Hoot Cake that's in your graveyard. And you get to negate their card and then add your card back. Notably, this card does lose to Droplet because they can send the card and then you don't even get the add back off of Magdalene, which is a little annoying. You get like this weird spell trap that still doesn't, or like you get like this negation that still loses to Droplet, but it is what it is at the end of the day. And then lastly, there was a new trap which is Dessert. So this is a compulse or compulsory escape device. So you have to return a Madolche monster on the field to the hand, and any other effect monster, and then you get special summon a Madolche from your hand or deck with an attack less than or equal to the attack of those monsters. A lot of the time, you're just summoning like a Sistart. You can do this to protect your spell traps that are face up sometimes by summoning Sistart from the extra deck. Just as often, you're bouncing something and then replaying it. It can get you to Vernusylph as well, which is kind of nice. And that's like the core Madolche part of the deck. I would say this is like the bare minimum you should be running. So let's talk about the optional main decks. Like I said, you can run a third Gelato. I don't think you ever want to run 3 Hoot Cakes anymore. There were some hand trap heavy builds that would do that back in the day, but I think in general now, 2 is more than enough. Pudding is a hard one. So it used to be the idea with Pudding was that she raised the ceiling. And she kind of does. Like, the deck is better. Like, you can make a board that gets all 3 of the spells and Pudding if you play Pudding. However, if you don't play Pudding, you can still get Ticket, Salon, Promenade, Dessert with both of your extra deck monsters on the field. I think, though, if you're playing in TCG, I think you still want to run at least a Pudding in the side deck because she's really good at dealing with floodgates and problematic cards on the field. And also, the choke points in the deck change whether you're playing a Pudding line or a non-Pudding success line. I think that, like, there's the potential for your opponent to get a really big blowout if you commit to the same line multiple times, and I think Pudding allows you to vary your lines in a way. So for Master Duel in particular, because there are so many stupid floodgates and things like Dimensional Fissure, Macrocosmos, Tikaboo, all of those cards can be huge problems, and Pudding can help you deal with them. I still like running the one Pudding in the main deck, but I'm biased. This is my favorite card in the entirety of Yu-Gi-Oh! So for the extra deck, there are pretty simple ratios here. For like the basic Madolche, you're gonna want to run 1 Sistart. You need 1 mini Meowcaroons. You need 2 Vernusylph, 2 Tiramisu, 1 Pudding Sauce Chocolate a la Mode, and 1 Queen Tiara Phrase, and that's it. Extra deck space is actually pretty light now for Madolche, which is a really big thing. In paper, you could consider running an Extravagance extra deck. I don't think that's really necessary, and I think there's a lot of issues you can have by doing that. But it means that, like, a Prosperity is totally fine. So the unofficial Madolches, I guess let's go over the Madolche extra deck monsters real quick and kind of explain their effects. So Tiramisu is, to this day, one of the best boss monsters in any TCG ever. So this card was printed in like 2014. But she gets to, not once per turn, target 2 Madolches in the graveyard. You shuffle those into the deck, and then once you do that, you get to shuffle back cards your opponent controls to the same number of Madolche cards return. So this is non-targeting, non-destructive removal that isn't once per turn. I've resolved this 4 times in a turn is my record. I think I've almost done 5. The sky's the limit with this card. She is insanely powerful. Vernusylph is... this was legacy support around 2018, 2019. So you get to... She has 2 effects. You can detach a material, target a Madolche monster on the field. It becomes unaffected by monster effects except its own. This is really nice for protecting cards from things like Appaloosa. The Azamina Negate... What is it called? Not Regina. It's not Arceolago. Sylvia. Like, Sylvia is a monster effect that tries to negate. So if you want to protect your stuff from like a Sylvia or an Appaloosa, Vernusylph can quick effect attach, choose a monster on the field. It becomes unaffected by monster effects other than its own. This is also really nice because it means that if your opponent doesn't have any way to clear your monsters other than with monsters, you have kind of a towers, which is really big for some of your end board pieces. Notably, Angeli can make your monsters unaffected by, or can't be destroyed by battle, so you can have a monster that can't be destroyed by battle and can't be affected by monster effects, but also um, Tiara Phrase, who we'll talk about in just a second, is really, really, really strong when your opponent can't remove her with monster effects. Chocolate a la mode is less important than she was, especially because pudding is not necessarily important for a lot of the combo lines now. But the card's still really good, helps you push for lethal. Pairs very well with Zeus as well. You can stack, make like a glace souffle or a tiramisu, and then make a chocolate a la mode on top, and then stack a Zeus there, potentially, which is nice. Having that in archetype Zeus line. You can even run like a Gaia Charger, I think, to throw another material on top if you wanted to like use the tiramisu before going for Zeus. Tiara Phrase is tiramisu, but a quick effect. That's the entire card. You get to just slap her on top of a tiramisu by ranking up once per turn. And yeah, quick effect tiramisu is really, really good disruption, as it turns out. Again, it's non-targeting, non-destructive removal. Even your opponent goes for something like a fusion summon, like as the card hits the field, you can shuffle it back, and it won't even get its on summon effect because it has to remain in the zone it was played in order to gain those. Sistart is generally not great. She has her purposes in the deck for sure, but overall, her main the main thing you can do with her is your opponent like dusters, and you don't have a way to negate it. You can like desert back two monsters, go into this, and then all of a sudden now your salon, your ticket, and your chateau can't be destroyed by that duster. And then occasionally she just becomes kind of a bit of a wall that like your opponent can't attack through because every time she would be destroyed. This replacement effect isn't once per turn, so you can replace her any number of times. And lastly, Meowcaroons. This card does everything for the deck. So on Link Summon, you can add any Madolche card from your deck to your hand. Notably, this is the first Madolche extra deck monster that is semi-generic. Previously, every Madolche monster required only Madolches, which is really good. It means that Meowcaroons can use kind of extra Link material that just happens to be on your side of the field from something like a Vernusylph, and use it to help you extend. Meowcaroon's second effect is it allows you to summon a Madolche from hand by shuffling a monster from your graveyard into the deck. If you do so, you're locked into only Madolche monsters for the rest of the turn. Effects, and Petting obviously has the effect that locks you into summoning only Madolche monsters. It's not the end of the world. Obviously, a lot of effects that you want to do are just things you can do on your opponent's turn anyway. But it does mean that like if you make like an Appaloosa and then you use Meowcaroons, you can't stop like a Nibiru because the Appaloosa can't activate her effects. So just something to keep in mind, especially with like Vernusylph, so you can't extend further once you use Meowcaroons. But the card is absurd. So many of the new combo lines run through Meowcaroons to get to the end board. So let's go to the Honest Honorary Madolches, which is the Vernusylphs. So there are there's two really important ones, and then there's kind of like an optional. So, at minimum, every Madolche deck should run 3 Flourishing Hills and 3 Misting Seedlings. These are simultaneously they're extenders because they allow you to play through cards like Ash Blossom and Impermanence that completely ruin the deck otherwise. They allow you to build end boards that you wouldn't be capable of doing otherwise. Like the optimal hands, technically, like the very best hands you have if you're not trying to play through Disruption can end on like an IP Masquerena, so you can make Appaloosa on your opponent's turn, thanks to these. And Misting Seedlings isn't just an extender; it's also a reinforcement of the army for Angeli, which is important because it means that you have kind of an extra 6 copies of your starters. One thing that is a big deal with these is it kind of reverses the logic on Madolche. Madolche was a deck that used to want to focus on spells and traps outside of the main deck Madolche monsters because of their gimmick of like petting not being an extender from hand if you have any monsters in your graveyard. However, you need a critical mass of monsters for the Vernusylphs to actually be able to do their thing. So make sure that you kind of are happy with cards like Fualos and Maxi because In a pinch, you can discard them with the Vernusylph to help you try to extend further. There are a couple of other options for Vernusylph cards you can run. I've run Awakening Forest, which is a Foolish Burial for an Earth. You can pair this with um, either a Vera the Vernusylph Goddess to try to put an extra negate on the field. You can shuffle back the Vera. The downside is that both of your normal summons should be taken up by a Madolche in the new combos, so I actually don't like this as much. I mean, you can still send a Shizu Shuffler. Usually I run Medora if I'm doing that. But like the Medora is kind of bad to draw, so you end up with like an extra brick. So currently I'm just on one copy of Thawing Mountains? Which is just a draw. It gives you a way to go like Misting Seedlings into Flourishing Hills into Thawing Mountains and get like 3. But this is even optional. You could still just run 6 of these and then call it a day. Notably now, I don't think the deck really wants to play Small World anymore. It was for a while with these because it allowed you to line up some combos with like the Churias, or you could do something like Search and Ash Blossom before you're resolving stuff. But again, the Vernusylphs lock you into Earth monsters anyway, so smart opponents can stop you from ashing a Maxi or a Fualos anyway. So I haven't really been on that train for a while, if I'm being totally honest. I think it's just you have enough starters. This is, if you count the Vernusylphs as starters, you have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 starters, and then you have 17 situationally with the Hoot Cakes, which is more than enough. So this is what I would consider like the Madolche core. So some other stuff that I think you should probably have. You should probably play a copy of Masquerena. This allows you to make better use of your Flourishing Hills and Misting Seedlings. If you want to, I can go have a second video where I talk about variants, but there is a Synchro variant, and if you did that, you probably would run the oh my god, what is it called? I am blanking on this. Monodium Fearless. This card is a level 2 Earth Fairy Tuner, which, when combined with the Misting Seedlings or a Hoot Cake, allows you to make a Churia Beast, but I haven't really done that in a while. Let me go jump over to my current build so you can actually see where I'm at currently. So this deck is currently in Diamond 2 and climbing. I've got about a 70% win rate over my last 20, and it's been very consistently doing that from all the way from Iron I started the season in. So some cards that I'm running right now. You need to be running the 2 Called By and the 1 Cross Out. One main deck Nibiru. It's just a good thing to draw into off of Maxi to threaten, but also with Cross Out, being able to Cross Out Designator it is really important. Droll and Lockbird, I think it's just really nice this format. A lot of decks are searching a lot, and just the Lingering Floodgate can kind of get you out of there. Orange Light is really strong with the sheer number of fairies in the deck, and Glassy Flay can shuffle back any Madolche monster, which is really, or any monster, so you can actually shuffle back the Orange Light, add it to hand with the field spell, and then reuse it, which means that like your Glassy Flay can trade her shuffle effect in for a monster effect negation. The 2 Maxi that we're allowed to play, 3 Ash Blossom to stop the opposing Maxis. Again, it's also recyclable, so if you have to Ash on your turn, you can then shuffle it back with the field spell and then Ash on your opponent's turn as well, as long as you didn't call by it. Those are all the same. Fualos, again, just more copies of Maxi, but also it's a monster, so you can discard it with any of your Vernusylphs to continue to extend. I'm on 3 Bestials. I'm not sold on these, to be quite honest, over playing like the extra Droll and Lock and the Herald of Orange Light, but with the sheer amount of like Fiendsmith running around, I feel like it's like pretty good, and like Druid Swarm's gotten me out of some pinches. The 3 Imperms, there's an argument to play 1 Imperm and 2 Veiler, but I feel like Imperm has a little bit more utility, even with like the ability to shuffle back the Veilers. With your like Glassy Flay can shuffle back Veiler, and but like Imperm being able to be activated during the battle phase, I think actually like really matters. In the extra deck, one copy Baguska. If you get Max Seed and just don't have anything else to do, or get like impermed on petting, sometimes you just overlay into Baguska and pray. One copy of Divine Arsenal Double A Zeus. You do get Xenolocked very easily in the deck, but there's a lot of extra deck space anyway, so the card is totally fine here. The IP Masquerena with an SP Little Knight and an Appaloosa. These are cards that allow you to deal with, or like you can, if you use your 2 Vernusylphs, you can summon 2 Vernusylphs or 2 monsters, make an IP Masquerena, then do your full Madolche combo, and then your opponent's turn you can make either the SP Little Knight or the Appaloosa. One copy of Access Code Talker. This guy almost never comes up, but occasionally you just kind of like want to clear back row without like going through a bunch of steps. This guy can help you do it. Also can help you beat over a big monster you can't beat over otherwise. This honestly can also be a Boral Sword. One thing with Madolche is it does cap out at 3100, so like getting over like a Raid Raptor can be like difficult otherwise. And then one copy of Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. This is just a catch-all. My opponent has a towers on the field. I need to do something. And that is my current build of Madolche. Let me go into solo mode so I can show you a combo real quick. This will work. My deck. So I'm going to show you guys my Madolche here. I'm going to say going first so you guys can see. I'm going to show just the petting combo. We're going to kind of mulligan until we get there. But I think the deck's a lot of fun. It's really difficult to play. Naturally, I brick. But let's mulligan until we find exactly petting. This hand would do it. You would just go this for this, and then no matter what they do, you either call it by the grave to stop anything. I think this hand plays through like 2 hand traps. Come on, show me a petting in hand. Angeli does it. But I really want to show the petting. Oops, didn't mean to click that. Again, this hand is incredible. I have, these hands have all been pretty good outside of that first one. Oh, this hand sucks, but... Alright, I want to see Madolche or petting. Come on. I've got 6 cards that do it here. This hand is full combo. You would just do you would activate Fualos and then normal a Hoot Cake. I swear this shuffler is sentient sometimes. Yep, it's sentient. That hand didn't have a combo, by the way. It would just be normal Setsu. Okay, Madolche, this does it. So, you can start with normal summon Madolche, and then see what they do. You're always going to search a petting here. So I'm going to show the puddingless combo, because I think it's pretty important to learn. If you want the pudding combo, it's not too different. So you're going to go... petting. Unlike the old combos where you would go through a pudding, you're going to go summon an Angeli from the deck. Kind of like the old Nibiru safe ones. Unfortunately, the deck does not play around Nibiru now. So we're going to go Hoot Cake, we're going to target our Angeli, we're going to banish it to summon a Madolche from deck. We're going to summon a Gelato. Gelato is going to activate. We're going to go search for a copy of Salon. We're going to activate our Salon. We're going to link 3, leaving a level 4 on field. I think with this hand we could have probably even left the Hoot Cake in if we wanted to have the indestructible Hoot Cake. But it's not really necessary. So right here you could search a Madolche. So I'm gonna search Madolche. I'm gonna pretend I don't have the other one. We have our second normal from Salon. If we started with just petting, you could search Madolche, search Madolche, do it again. This Madolche is going to search for a copy of Gelato. So now we're going to overlay these two into our glass souffle. Our Meowcarins is going to shuffle back the Gelato in the graveyard to summon the Gelato from hand. This does not cause the Gelato to miss timing, which is really important. So Gelato is going to search for a copy of Promenade, and the Salon's going to set a ticket. This is important just because you don't want your opponent to know where your Promenade is set. So we're going to activate our ticket. Then we're going to go Glass Souffle. We're going to detach. Target ourselves. Again, we're already so dead to Nibiru, there's no point playing around it anymore. We're going to use her. We're going to shuffle back any Madolche monster. This is going to allow us to ticket. We're going to summon out the Gelato. Gelato here would search Dessert. We've already drawn it, so we would search a Chateau. So here we make our Tiramisu. And then an overlay into Tiara Phrase. Set our Promenade and set our Dessert and pass. And you see how we could have played through a lot there. We have the Thawing Mountains. We have, or to extend if our opponent tried to imperm us somewhere, or like Ash Blossom at the wrong time. We have Ash Blossom to stop the Maxi. This field is 1 DD Crow with Glass Souffle, a protected Tiramisu, or Tiara Phrase. We have a Compulse with Dessert, where we can bounce our mini Meowcaroons and any other monster on the field to try to disrupt our opponent. And then Negation with Promenade. And then we also have follow-up with Ticket Salon and Madolche in hand from our Promenade, adding it back. So that is Madolche in 2025. If you are curious to watch some gameplay of this deck, you can go check out my Twitch stream and see the VODs there at twitch.tv/ghoul02. I will be streaming this a fair bit as I climb up to Master. But it's a really, really fun deck that I highly recommend giving a shot. It is a little bit expensive on the UR dust. But it's also really, like, surprisingly flexible now, like I said. There's the Synchro variants if you want to do those, Macheria variants. I think that, like, a Runic Madolche could be really good. I don't have the Runic cards to actually test it. But I think that, like, because Tiramisu and Tiara Phrase are just perpetual removal, it ends up being a real, like, almost like a Fulgo in a way. And you can actually make use of the Hugin to help make your IP Masquerena now. So, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys want to see more Yu-Gi-Oh! From me, hit the thumbs up there. Let me know in the comments what you're excited about, and we'll talk about it. Hopefully I'll have a little bit more Yu-Gi-Oh! In addition to some Final Fantasy. Depends how much fun I'm having with the game. But right now I'm having a lot of fun. Like I said, you can see I'm up to Diamond 2. And, where is it? Is it Details? No. No, it's under this, I think is where you can see my ranked history, right? Yeah, like you see, like I was climbing up from Iron, and I'm up to Diamond 2 with like a 70% win rate, if not more. And a lot of those losses are due to my own like dumb mistakes too. I probably could be running like a 75% win rate if I was playing perfectly the whole time. So yeah, thanks for watching.